Hello, my name is Carl Brooks, and today we're going to be discussing my critical assignment, which is gait development throughout the lifespan. So first we're going to start off with early childhood, and we're going to go into the Newell's model of constraints. And so the Newell's model says movement arises from interaction of the organism, the environment, and the task up to 6 months. Parents play a pivotal role in the development of the child based on the time spent with the child. Depending on socioeconomic status, that can also affect how fast a child's development goes because of the time away from the child. So basically, infants interact with their environment. So the more stimulus that you give them, the more developed they can become, and vice versa. If the child has less stimulus, then they can develop a little slower. So most of the time they do catch up, but if you're not spending the time with the child, playing with the child, laying it on its back, laying it on its stomach, then it takes a little while longer for them to develop the muscular strength needed to develop properly. Some theories and principles related to each stage of development. The original theory was that children had extraneous movements that had no purpose. However, now movements made in early childhood have currently been defined as building blocks, similar to the normal voluntary movements used as the child grows. As an example of this, the spontaneous leg and arm movements that resemble adult walking and reaching, according to Hayward and Getchell, 2014. Identify at least one common gait abnormality in the stage of development. A couple of them are out-toeing, in-toeing, limping, and walking with the toes are common types of gait abnormalities for early childhood, according to Hayward, K, and Getchell. Some possible constraints as far as physical or strength or balance as far as perceptual. The strength, coordination, balance, some type of situations that include autism can also affect the gait. So the early gait analysis would be the base of support is a wide base. Stride length would be shorter because of the less extension on the leg and it doesn't have as much flexion as, like, let's say an adult. The arm swings, there's no arm swings, so what the child would do is have their arms out in high guard. Initial contact and loading response would be mid-foot strike or flat foot. The mid stance will be shortened. The terminal stance would be shortened as well. The pre-swing and initial swing would be shortened in the terminal swing. And the shortened mid-swing would be for the initial swing and mid-swing. The late mid-swing or the terminal swing would be the shortened terminal swing. So moving on to the next phase, which would be childhood. Major changes in gait across each of the 4 stages of development would be kinetic, auditory, and visual systems are present and basic at birth, but by late childhood, these systems become more advanced, and in most cases, some of them are comparable with some levels of adults, according to Smith B.A. and Strigue and Ehrlich of 2011. Theories and principles related to this stage of development. Now we understand that cognitive and motor development are intertwined, and new developments allow for new perceptions to be created. However, without guidance from perception, movement skills cannot be acquired. That's a typo. Learning and memory can be stimulated through exercise and being active and fit. Identify at least one common gait abnormality in each stage of the development. There will be out-toeing and toe walking, according to Hayward, K, and Getchell. Possible constraints, both physical and perceptual, would be bow legs. So if your child has that bow-legged where your toes go inward, then that could be part of the toe walking issue, as well as autism, because of them not being able to balance properly. They can have abnormalities in joint mobility. They can have abnormalities of the joint mobility. Excuse me. So for the childhood gait analysis, the base of support is around shoulder width. The stride length is shortened. Arm swings are slight arm swings, so you don't get the full thing, but also you're not having the arms out as was the early childhood. Initial contact and loading phase would be toe planting or the front foot strike. Mid stance would be normal mid stance. Terminal stance would be shortened. The pre-swing and the initial swing would be the shortened initial swing. The initial swing and mid-swing would be the shortened mid-swing. And late mid-swing and terminal swing would be shortened terminal swing. Some major changes in gait and going into the adulthood. At the adult age stage of development, maturation moves toward completion around the 20s. This includes visual development, spatial awareness, auditory perception, and motion perception. Some theories related to the adult stages of gait development would be the 6 determinants of the gait theory and inverted pen. Identifying at least one common gait abnormality in adult gait development would be hemiplegic gait. And what that is normally after somebody has a stroke, they would have their arm pinned up, kind of like this right here. So because of the stroke, and it happens on one side of the body normally. And so what happens with the foot is that they're unable to dorsiflex, and they would have to have a circular motion with their gait, which causes abnormal gait. And some possible constraints will be both physical and perceptual, will be cerebral palsy. So if you were somebody with a cerebral palsy, you would have some possible constraints, as well as some strength issues or some balance issues, or maybe an injury that might stop you as well. So for the adult gait analysis, you have your basic support, which would be shoulder width, and the stride length, longer stride length. The arm swing, you will have your opposite arm swings. Initial contact and loading response, you would have a heel strike, mid stance, balanced normal mid stance with balance. Terminal stance will be extended terminal, so you will have a longer terminal stance as opposed to the younger kids in the early stages. Pre-swing and initial swing will be bigger pre-swing than the previous. Initial swing and mid-swing will also be a bigger mid-swing than the previous, so like the early childhood and the childhoods. Late mid-swing and terminal swing would be a bigger terminal swing than the previous, so other than the children, because of the longer leg length. So now moving on to our final stage would be the older adulthood. Major changes in gait across the 4 stages of development for adulthood would be during this time the body begins to age. Bone composition begins to break down, and muscle mass is beginning to break down in older adults. As a result of these changes, falls can cause serious injury and possible death, according to Hayward K. and Gritchell, 2014. Some theories and principles related to older adulthood stage of gait development. Muscle mass and bone composition can be slightly increased by exercising consistently. You can regenerate some muscle mass and bone composition, according to Alexander N.B. Identify at least one common gait abnormality in each stage of development. One would be arthritis, and that would stop you from having a full gait cycle, as well as neuropathic gait, according to Perker W. and Katzinger R. Possible constraints, both physical and perceptual, will be bone loss and loss of muscle mass, according to Alexander N.B. So older gait analysis, You have your base of support, which will be a little bit shorter. So you would still be shorter width, so it wouldn't be that much different from your adult. But I did not have that posted there, but it is shorter width. Stride length would be shorter than the adult, but longer than a child, but shorter than the adult because of their lost muscle mass. Arm swings would be opposite swings, but smaller than an adult because of the smaller steps that would take, the smaller stride lengths. Initial contact and loading response would be a toe strike with the anterior lean, according to Alexander M.B. Mid stance will be a shortened mid stance. Terminal stance will be shortened terminal. And pre-swing and initial swing will be shortened initial. And initial swing and mid-swing will be a shortened mid-swing as opposed to the adults. So all the shortened ones are opposed to the adult. Because even the shorter, older adult gait would be a little bit bigger than, a little bit bigger than the early childhood and the childhood swings. So the initial swing and mid-swing are shortened mid-swings, and the late swing and terminal swing would be the shortened terminal swing. And so those are our references. Thank you, and have a great day.